There was once a beloved professor of English at Harvard by the name of Charles Townsend Copeland. For many years he lived in very cramped and inconvenient apartments on the very top floor of a certain hall on campus. For years people tried to coax him out of those tiny rooms into more spacious living quarters. But he always refused to budge, saying that this was the only place on campus that suited him because he was on the top floor. "This is the only place where God alone is above me. He's busy, but he's quiet." Wouldn't you like to have God as a neighbor? Wouldn't you like to know where God lives? This was the question the disciples asked. "Master, where do you live?" Jesus turned to them and said, "Come and see." They came and they saw, and they stayed with him. This is the burning question in the heart of every human being born. Where does God live? Where is God? All of us are searching for God. All of us are seeking something higher, something to give meaning to our human existence. Where is God? One of the very first questions the little child asks its mother is, "Where does God live?" And the mother, in all her wisdom, will tell the child about the kingdom of heaven, the home of God, where God sits on a throne surrounded by angels. Or perhaps the wise mother brings the child into church and says that this is God's house. Now be careful with that one. Some years ago, a little girl asked her mother exactly the same thing. "Where does God live?" The mother brought the child into the church and said, "This is God's house. Isn't that right, Father?" Well, later on that week, when the child saw me walking down the corridor of the school, she pointed and yelled out, "There's God! I know where he lives!" The child is content with these answers because the mother always knows best. Mother has spoken, case is closed. But then the child grows a little older, grows into a person who requires answers for herself. The young person looks around the world and says, "Where is God?" By that time, he has long forgotten the answer the mother gave so long ago. By that time in life, it doesn't really matter what the older people say anyway. The young person always has to discover for herself the answers to life's questions. We look around and see a world full of pain, full of problems, a world filled with questions. And the young person says, "This does not look like God's house." Perhaps the young person looks around at the church and sees arrogance, sees perhaps what is, to the idealistic young person's mind, an institution going farther and farther from contact with reality. And the young person says, "This does not look like God's house." Perhaps the young person experiences in his heart the first disappointment in love, the first experiences with pain and anguish and the worry that most of us adults know all too well. And the young person looks out at this world of misery and asks, "Where is God?" We receive at that time the same answer the disciples received. "Come and see." If we are willing to come, if we are willing to follow, we will see. God will take us by the hand, lead us to look out over all this magnificent creation and say, "This is where I am." You see all this beautiful creation? You are joining me in my creative work. We have come, and because we have come, we can see, for we are seeing then through the divine eyes. Dr. Martin Luther King once preached a sermon in which he said, Everything that we see is a shadow cast by that which we do not see. All around us is God. Come and see. God takes us further by the hand, leads us up to the Mount of Calvary, and allows us to see from that vantage point all of human misery and anguish. From that Mount of Calvary, united with a suffering and crucified God, we are able to look down into the filthy slums of Calcutta, into the war-torn streets of Kabul, into the horrific camps of Auschwitz, into the misery of every human heart, and say together with the Christ, "There am I, there is God, right in the midst of all the suffering and pain." In every human tear we find also God's tears. For we have a God who is at home on the Mount of Calvary. Where is God? Come and see. God is right with us in the midst of all our pain. Where is God? Come and see. God takes us further by the hand, leads us to our fellow human beings all around us, and tells us, "I am neither man nor woman, but every man and every woman is a part of me." Where am I? Look around you at your fellow human beings. The great Hindu teacher Mahatma Gandhi once said that if you do not see God in the next person you meet, it is a waste of time to look for him any further. Where is God? Come and see. The Marquis de Châteauneuf was the keeper of the seals for King Louis XIII of France. He had been a remarkably bright child, and when he was a little boy of 9, he was being questioned by an old bishop who asked him all sorts of questions about faith. The little child responded with profound wisdom to all these questions. Finally, the bishop said to the child, "I will give you an orange if you can tell me where God is." The little child said to the bishop, "And I will give you 2 oranges if you can tell me where God is not." Where is God? Come and see. And on the last day of our life, as we breathe our final breath and look around, perhaps in fear and perhaps in despair, and ask one last time, "Where is God?" there comes to us that final call, "Come and see." And then we come, and then we see that our mother had been right all the time. Come and see. Come and stay forever.